Chapter 5, Developing Working Relationships. I know I'm a week behind, but I'll catch up. Don't worry. I hope I will anyway. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. If I can figure out how this works. There we go. Developing working relationships. A practitioner should begin a professional relationship by determining how they will present themselves and how they will behave. It is important for the practitioner to set aside their personal feelings and concerns in order to fully focus on their client. This is something that should always be done. You should always act the same. You should act genuine. There's really no reason why you should ever put on airs or act any different with one client or the other. It is important that a practitioner accepts and understands the client's beliefs, their perceptions, their stereotypes, their biases, their prejudices, and life experiences. Remember, the ideas that they have, the beliefs that they have, the perceptions that they have come from their life experiences, which are probably not quite the same as yours. The core interpersonal qualities that a practitioner brings to a relationship include warmth, respect, genuineness, empathy, and acceptance. And that's one of the reasons why I tell you that what you need to do is always act the same with everybody, and that is known as genuineness. Trust can be developed by being understanding or empathic, listening attentively, showing respect. Warmth, being kind and accepting in non-judgmental ways. Expression of warmth in one culture may be perceived differently in another culture. Cheek touching is commonly used to show warmth in many cultures around the world, but probably not on the Navajo Nation. It's probably not something that you want to do if you're in Canada. It's probably not something that you want to do in Indiana. And the reason I tell you this is because a lot of people, especially people who haven't a English ancestry, their personal space is a lot wider than it is with other individuals. Now, if you're in France or somebody has French ancestry or Italian ancestry, if you're from the Northern Plains people are huggers. They like to they hug. If they like people, they hug them, and so it really all depends on who they are and where they're from and what their cultural background is. Empathy is the ability to understand another person's emotions, feelings, thoughts, and behavior from that person's viewpoint. As we attune to another person's internal state, a feeling of being connected develops. Being empathic involves having the willingness and the flexibility to put yourself in the other person's reality. Empathy is understanding assumptions, beliefs, and/or worldview. Empathy requires understanding another person's subjective experience while maintaining the capacity to differentiate from that person. Empathy is not the same as pity or sympathy. Pity involves sorrow or grief aroused by someone else's suffering. Sympathy involves feeling affected by whatever affected the other person. Respect or unconditional positive regard is expressed by affirming and appreciating clients without condoning their harmful behaviors, looking for the good, regard for thoughts, feelings, and abilities, noticing, acknowledging, and highlighting clients' strengths, capabilities, resilience, coping ability, potential, and resources, being polite and following appropriate cultural norms. Genuineness, being sincere and authentic, being real and allowing your humanness and uniqueness to be seen, being natural, honest, and forthright, admitting mistakes. That is being genuine. Offering advice, it is inappropriate to offer advice until you have fully understood the people involved, their challenges, and their situation, and collaborated with the clients on setting goals. Offering advice before you know what the clients have already tried can be experienced as not respecting their strengths and capacities. Don't give advice. Reassuring in an attempt to reduce pain. The pain clients feel about their problem can motivate them to solve the problem. Negating the importance of the client's pain can lead them to feel that they are not fully understood or respected. For example, telling someone, "It will all work out in the end. Don't worry about it." It indicates the capacity to stop worrying on command. These are common mistakes, trying to reassure them to something that you possibly don't have complete information about. Another common mistake, offering excuses, helping clients set goals, asking leading questions that give advice, dominating through teaching. Teaching is dominating or pushing. It can suggest one right way. Communicating in a dominating way tends to invite people to feel shamed or rebellious and to withdraw or become defensive and argue. It implies there is only one way to resolve an issue. This is a problem with the education that we have today. Unfortunately, we have a lot of individuals that only have partial information. We have people that aren't experts in the field that are teaching. And usually what they will learn is one way of doing everything, one way of doing things. The reality is there's usually more than one way to do things. And certainly if you study it, you will find out that there's an old way and there may be a new way and there may be even a newer way. So there's lots of ways of doing things. If you're reading a textbook and it says this is the only way to solve this problem, it's not a very good textbook. Labeling, a sophisticated way to judge, criticize, or blame another person, and is not helpful. It's another common mistake. Interrogating why questions are particularly problematic because they sometimes imply judgment and also invite defensiveness, another common mistake. Core interpersonal qualities, developing your ability to be empathic. You need to read novels and professional literature about people from different backgrounds, joining in activities, talking to and getting to know others who have different experiences, attending classes or workshops focused on specific groups of people, traveling to different countries and spending time with local residents, doing volunteer work in communities or neighborhoods are very different from your own, that are very different from your own. Watching popular movies about people who are different from you. It's a good way of learning about other people with the understanding that that is also one person's point of view. If you're reading a book about the Navajo Nation, that's one person's point of view. If it's from the point of view of somebody on the Navajo Nation, it may be the point of view of somebody on the Navajo Nation from the checkerboard area, or somebody from Tuba City, or somebody from Kayenta, or somebody from Utah. It may not be what everybody thinks because when you've got 275,000 people, you're dealing with a lot of different individuals with a lot of different ideas. Not all individuals on the Navajo Nation have the same idea. Okay, so we're talking about movies that can help you. If you're looking for something about Mexican Americans in the United States, Real Women Have Curves is a good movie about a second generation Mexican American girl. Hoop Dreams, this was on last night on TCM. Inner city African American boys who want to be basketball players, professional basketball players if possible. Mystic River is about people in the Boston area. It's an inner city white boy who was sexually abused. Mystic River is in the Boston area. Girl Interrupted is about a white girl, a teenage girl who is mentally ill, and actually it's about both of them are mentally ill, Angelina Jolie and Winona Ryder, and this was Angelina Jolie's first starring role. American History, X, is about a white boy in a neo-Nazi group. Bend It Like Beckham is out of England. It's an English movie. This is actually Keira Knightley's first movie. About a second generation Indian girl living in London. It's not only about a girl living in London who is of Indian descent, that's Asian Indian, of course, but she's a Sikh, Sikh, which is a religious group in India. I Am Sam is about people with developmental disabilities. It stars Sean Penn as the individual with a intellectual deficit. Radio stars Cuba Gooding Jr., who is also a individual with developmental problems. In this case, he is African American. My Family, Mi Familia, Three Generations of Dreams, is about a Mexican American family living in LA. What's Eating Gilbert Grape is about a white rural family dealing with issues related to poverty, autism, obesity, depression, and suicide. And it's one of Johnny Depp's first movies. It also stars Leonardo DiCaprio, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Johnny Depp is a teenager and Leonardo DiCaprio is the younger son. Soul Food is a movie about an African American family facing serious illness and death. It stars Vanessa Williams, who was Miss America at one point. Sleeping with the Enemy, women struggling with partners who are physically abusive. It has Julia Roberts, of course. Tina, What's Love Got to Do with It, is about women struggling with partners who are physically abusive. Once again, Ike Turner was abusive with Tina. The Notebook, people facing challenges related to aging, has Ryan Gosling in it. James Garner. I don't know any of the other people. On Golden Pond is people facing challenges related to aging. It has Jane Fonda and Henry Fonda and Katharine Hepburn's last movies on Golden Pond. Driving Miss Daisy is about people facing challenges related to aging. Jessica Tandy and Morgan Freeman. Jessica Tandy is the older woman, and Morgan Freeman is her chauffeur. Iris is about people facing challenges related to aging. In this case, well, I'll tell you what. These people are from the Northeast. Henry Fonda and Katharine Hepburn. That is the idea anyway. And Jessica Tandy's character is a older Southern woman, and Iris is a Jewish woman from New York City. 28 Days is about a woman with drug and alcohol problems. That's Sandra Bullock. Losing Isaiah is about women with alcohol and drug problems. That's Halle Berry's character. When a Man Loves a Woman is about women with drug and alcohol problems. Meg Ryan is the woman with the problems. Andy Garcia is her husband. And just like in 28 Days, it's really kind of interesting. Just like in 28 Days, a lot of times people support their alcoholic significant other in order to have a positive interaction with them because they like them when they're drunk. And the same thing happened with Andy Garcia. As soon as Meg Ryan became sober, it changed her personality. And the same way with Sandra Bullock in this movie. Gracie's Choice, women with drug and alcohol problems. I've never really seen this movie, so I'm not exactly sure how that works. Boys Don't Cry is about people dealing with issues related to discrimination and sexual orientation. In this case, Hilary Swank plays an individual, and Chloe Sevigny, or however you say that name, they are uh, lesbians. So it has to do with people rejecting them because of their sexual orientation. Boys on the Side is about people dealing with issues related to discrimination and sexual orientation. Really kind of interesting. Somebody's dying of AIDS. Anyway, Goldberg's character is gay. Wait a minute. And one character has AIDS and the other character is pregnant. Philadelphia Story is about people dealing with issues related to discrimination and sexual orientation. In this one, Tom Hanks is dying of AIDS, and Denzel Washington is defending him. He has sued his employer because he was fired because he had AIDS. And interesting movie. And Tom Hanks actually won an Academy Award for Best Actor. Brokeback Mountain is about people dealing with issues related to discrimination, sexual orientation. This has Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal, and the two of them are gay lovers and cowboys, which makes it interesting. The Crying Game is about people dealing with issues related to discrimination and sexual orientation. Really interesting movie because this movie is about Irish Republican Army in Northern Ireland and the English Army trying to crack down on what's going on, the war going on, and the Irish Republican Army captures a black soldier, and he is killed by the IRA, and his girlfriend. So this individual is the one that was supposed to be watching him, and he's the one that allowed him to escape. And then he's actually hit by a car, and then he goes back to Dublin, I think, and he meets the individual's lover, and he falls in love with her as well. But then it turns out that he's actually a transsexual individual, and it gets really interesting after that. Desert Hearts is about people dealing with issues related to discrimination and sexual orientation. Never actually seen this movie. Longtime Companion is about people dealing with issues related to discrimination and sexual orientation. I haven't seen this one either. Milk, there's another Sean Penn movie. It's about people dealing with issues related to discrimination and sexual orientation. Harvey Milk was the first gay city councilman in San Francisco. And there was an individual that was so upset about it that he assassinated Harvey Milk and the mayor at the same time. And when they arrested him and put him on trial, he claimed that he'd been eating a lot of Hostess Twinkies and they had made him crazy. This is a true story, but Sean Penn plays Harvey Milk. As good as it gets is about a white man who is dealing with obsessive compulsive disorder. His next door neighbor is gay and has this very, very cute dog, and so they are fighting over the dog, kind of to some extent. And Jack Nicholson's character has obsessive compulsive disorder, but he's in love with a waitress, and it just gets real complicated after that. Russell Crowe stars in A Beautiful Mind. It's about a white man who has schizophrenia. He's also a mathematical genius, but he has paranoid schizophrenia, and he has to deal with that and repress the his paranoid ideas in order to be successful in his endeavors. Children of a Lesser God is about a white woman who is deaf, and that's Marlee Maitland. Um, she's deaf, and she falls in love with William Hurt, or William Hurt falls in love with her. And it's about her dealing with her deafness before she was sexually promiscuous in order to be acceptable because of her deafness. And he teaches her that there's a lot more to her than just her sexuality and her disability. My Left Foot stars Daniel Day-Lewis. It's about a man with cerebral palsy. I've never actually seen the movie, but he won, Daniel Day-Lewis won Best Actor for this portrayal. The Green Mile is about men in prisons, and Tom Hanks, of course, is the prison guard. Dead Men Walking is about a men in prison. Sean Penn's character is about to be executed for murdering someone, and Susan Sarandon is the nun who is trying to deal with, is trying to help him through his execution. The Shawshank Redemption is about men in prison once again. The Saint of Fort Washington, people who are homeless. I actually used to live in Fort Washington. It's right next to Washington, D.C. It's on the Maryland side. Never seen the movie, actually. Monsters Ball, strange movie. The struggles of a single African-American mother. Her husband is executed by Heath Ledger and Billy Bob Thornton. They are prison guards, and that's their job, is to take people to execution. Heath Ledger, in the movie, he commits suicide, and Halle Berry's one and only child is hit by a car and killed. And to Billy Bob Thornton's character, dealing with the death of his son, Heath Ledger, and trying to help her with the death of her son, falls in love with Halle Berry. And this is in the South. So there is, and his father is this monster racist. I never could figure out what Monsters Ball was all about. I mean, where the name came from. The Soloist is Jamie Foxx is schizophrenic, and he is a cello virtuoso. And Robert Downey Jr.'s character tries to bring him in, well, since he's a virtuoso on the cello, he tries to help him find some place to be. The Joy Luck Club is about a second generation Asian American woman. I have never seen that one. Eat, Drink, Man, Woman is challenges in a Taiwanese family. Amrika is about a divorced Palestinian woman and her son. If you know anything about the Muslim religion, divorce is very rare. And here we have a Pakistani woman who is divorced. Rhapsody in August is about Japanese children visiting their grandmother who lived through the bombing of Nagasaki. Nagasaki was the second bomb that was dropped. The first bomb was dropped on Hiroshima. Atomic bomb we're talking about. So it's about her living through the bombing of Nagasaki, atomic bombing of Nagasaki. Teacher in a low-income, Stand and Deliver is about a teacher in a low-income Hispanic neighborhood. It's a true story about a group of Hispanic teenagers who were thought to be subpar as far as academics are concerned, and the James Olmos's character um, is able to get them to apply themselves and become and pass a calculus AP class. Challenges. Oh, the four little girls is about challenges of African Americans have faced. Four little girls were at a church, Baptist church in Birmingham, Alabama, and it was bombed, and they were killed in the bombing of churches. I don't know how much sense that makes, but they were killed, and this had to do with part of the civil rights movement, one of the travesties. Challenges. Oh, do the right thing is by Spike Lee. I couldn't think of Spike Lee's name the other day. Is a Spike Lee movie about challenges African Americans have faced, and it has to do with this individual's pizza parlor um, in a black neighborhood. He owns a pizza parlor, and Spike Lee is his delivery boy. Do the right thing. Ghosts of Mississippi, challenges African Americans have faced. This has to do with the civil rights movement. During the African Americans did not have the right to vote in most of the southern states. So in the early 1960s, the individuals from the North would come down and register black people to vote, and they were called Freedom Riders. And in Mississippi, uh, four Freedom Riders were murdered by the Ku Klux Klan, and this is about the FBI coming down and trying to figure out uh, what was going on. Now, the interesting thing is that I was stationed in Columbus, Mississippi, which is in Lowndes County, Mississippi, and just south of there is Noxubee County, and Noxubee County is where all of this took place. The killing of the four Freedom Riders. Of course, I was there in the 90s, and this took place in the 60s, so it was a bit distant at that point. Long Walk Home is challenges African Americans have faced. This has to do with the Birmingham bus strikes of the early 1960s. They were making the African Americans sit in the back, and so they struck. This has to do with Martin Luther King Jr. Decided that wasn't correct and that it needed to be corrected. So he started the bus strike, and in the beginning, most of the white people that were in Birmingham just couldn't understand it because they didn't understand what was going on primarily, and so the Whoopi Goldberg's character um, is the maid for Sissy Spacek's character, and so Sissy Spacek starts driving her home uh, because she can't take the bus. African Americans aren't riding the bus, and of course she asks her why, and then once she explains it to her, then she gets a group of white women to be part of the bus strike as well. Celebration is about upper middle class Danish multi-generational family dealing with incest and violence. Never actually seen this movie, but it's 30 years old. Yesterday is about rural African family. Both parents are HIV positive. Never seen that one either. Tuesdays with Maury is about a white man diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease. That's Jack Lemmon's character. Rain Man is about a white man diagnosed as an autistic savant. That is Dustin Hoffman's character, and Tom Cruise is his brother. And Tom Cruise's character's name is Raymond, and Dustin Hoffman, who has autism, um, called him Rain Man instead of Raymond. Lars and the Real Girl is about a white man dealing with a mental illness. He does have a mental illness. It's really kind of interesting to watch it. He's paranoid. He's afraid of people. And of course, he works someplace, and this guy convinces him that he needs a girlfriend. So what he does, he orders a blow up sex doll, and he starts treating her like she's alive. And he tells everybody that this is his girlfriend, and they decide that okay, this makes a lot of sense. At least he is thinking about dealing with humans, with women, and so they start treating her like she's real. The people in his town start treating her like she's real as well. And eventually he gets mad at her because she's spending so much time with everybody else. People are inviting her to teas, and they're taking her to trivia night, and all kinds of interesting things. She runs for, well, anyway, they treat her like she's real, and eventually he breaks up with her because he doesn't trust her. She's starting to spend so much time with everybody else. And then he starts dating a real girl. Cyrus is about a single white mother who has devoted her life to her 21-year-old son, and that is Jonah Hill is her son, and John C. Reilly, of course, is the person that tries to date her. The Diving Bell and the Butterfly is about a white man adapting to being mute and paralyzed. Never seen this movie. Pieces of April, white middle class family, oldest daughter is estranged from the family, mother is ill and dying, and she has aging grandparents. So it's about April coming back and trying to help. And that's the Katie Holmes character. Precious is about an African American teenager living on welfare. She's pregnant as a result of incest. She already has one child that is being taken care of by her mother. She also has AIDS, and she got AIDS from her father, which is why she's pregnant, because of her being raped by her father. And it's about her trying to keep custody of her first child and to keep custody of her newborn baby. The Namesake, really fascinating movie. I've seen this one. It's about first generation Indian men in the United States, and how the interaction between the traditions of India uh, are at loggerheads with how people act in the United States. And it's really a fascinating movie. If you want to know about Indian culture, of course, there are hundreds of Indian cultures because there are hundreds of languages spoken in India. It's a massive country. It has one of the largest populations in the world. It's got over 1.5 billion people. They have a billion people more than the United States has. And the United States is the fourth most populous country, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe the third. Anyway, China is number one and India is number two. Um, and there's a lot of cultures there. There's a number of religions there. We've already seen that, haven't we? Or is that in another class? No, it's another class. That's social psych. City Island is about a white blue collar family dealing with a grown son recently released from prison. I've never really seen this. As It Is in Heaven is about a white Swedish community with issues related to the impact of bullying on a child and domestic violence. Bullying children is very common in the Scandinavian countries. It's called mobbing. So if they act differently than everybody else, then they get bullied, they get beaten up. So it's really quite interesting. Winter's Bone is about a poor white Appalachian family. Father's missing, the mother's mentally ill. Goodnight, Mr. Tom is about a white British family, single, mentally ill mother, neglect and abuse of the children. Children of Heaven is about a poor Iranian family struggling to manage. American Beauty, strange movie with Kevin Spacey and Annette Bening. It's about a family facing all kinds of challenges. The father falls in love with or is fascinated by the next door neighbor, a young teenage girl who um, he imagines naked on a fairly frequent basis. That's what the picture's all about. Anyway, he falls in love with her and he decides he's going to move out into the garage and start lifting weights. And it's really kind of a strange movie. I haven't seen it for a while. It's an old movie. Lost in Translation, challenges faced by white adults. These white adults are in Japan. Bill Murray and Johansson. What's her first name? I can't. It's Black Widow's in the movie. And as you can see, this bed's way too short for it. That's part of the problem. But it's about, and they realize that they have all kinds of interesting problems because they're in Japan and the Japanese have have a very specific culture, and it's really hard to fit in with their culture. Iris? Up in the Air is about challenges faced by white adults and has George Clooney. Life as a House is about challenges faced by white adults. Million Dollar Baby is about challenges faced by white adults. It has Morgan Freeman and Clint Eastwood in it. And Hilary Swank they're training Hilary Swank to be a female boxer. And she gets a shot at the championship of whatever weight class she is. But they train her. And it turns out she's got all kinds of interesting problems that they have to deal with in order to get her to where she needs to be as far as boxing is concerned. Edward Scissorhands, never understood this movie. It's about challenges faced by white adults. Really weird movie. Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind, Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet. Challenges faced by white adults. I've never seen the movie actually. Powwow Highway is about American Indian adults seeking understanding on a road trip to rescue a relative. And it's about the Southwest. I've never actually seen this one. Smoke Signals, great movie. It's about American Indian teenagers from Washington seek understanding on a road trip to find their father. He has died, and they're going down to the Navajo Nation to retrieve his ashes. And they are from Caulfield. They're from Colville. I'm sorry, Colville Reservation up in Washington State. Skins is about American Indian adults battled greed and displacement in Sioux country. It's in South Dakota. Songs of that my brothers taught me is about American Indians dealing with life on the reservation. Wind River is about American Indians battling modern life on the reservation. In this case, it's a murder that has to be solved and dealt with. Shouting Secrets is about American Indians dealing with success and failure. I'm not sure what reservation this is. The important Basketball or Nothing. It's about Chin Lee, actually, the Chin Lee Wildcats. The importance of basketball on today's reservations. Reservation Dogs is a television show, and it's about modern reservation life. It's about modern reservation life in Oklahoma, and actually, there's only one reservation in Oklahoma, and there's not much going on there. But there are reservations in Nebraska and South Dakota, North Dakota, Montana's got 7. Washington's got 2. Oregon's got 2. Why Oklahoma? And the answer is because that's where the guys that wrote the television show are from. Killers of the Flower Moon came out last year. It's about Osage murders in the beginning of the 20th century. And because they asked for help from the federal government, that's when the FBI came in and tried to figure out what happened. And they did. They figured out what happened and who was the one doing the murdering and who was the one that was telling people to murder people. And it turned out that they went to jail for a relatively short period of time, and then that was it. And they stole all that money. And that's it. Okay, so a good way to learn about different cultures is to watch movies about those cultures. It will give you an idea. I wouldn't say it's an absolute idea, but it can give you an idea of what that culture is like. So I'll talk to you next week. We'll do chapter 6 and 7 next week.